7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
And welcome back to another edition of Vegas Squares Podcast. This week we are recapping the week that was the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. I'm leading the intro in this week. We got Parachi Tony over here. What's up?
What's going on?
We got producer over here, Aaron.
Hi, I'm not host today.
No. And we got Spike over
I'm
there.
here! I'm giving a proper introduction like Aaron wants. Hello!
Spike over there in the corner, that's why he's yelling, so.
Fucking stat boy. Spike's stat boy. His new name is Stat Boy.
Stat boy, okay.
He's keeping all the Excel spreadsheets.
Fair enough. This week recapping all the games, all the picks, and how everybody do this week betting.
It was a solid week over here from certainly the prop perspective. Well, the last game didn't lend a hand in that, but overall it was
a gross beat
fantastic.
though. Watching the game with you with what you had. We'll talk about it when we talk about
it.
Some
we'll
gross beats in
we'll get there certainly, but
your player props.
But there were some other good ones which we'll go over as things proceed, and then just really only had a couple of wagers this weekend on the regular games, but.
A lot of prop action.
Yeah, but mostly prop action, and things went pretty much as planned, really, until today kicked off. And then I thought these last two games on Sunday were very, very odd with the game flow and everything that ended the way they did. I'm not surprised that certainly the Patriots and Saints won those games. It was just the way it happened was a little bit odd to me.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we recap those games for sure.
I would just like to say that I am especially proud that I don't listen to half of the things that Spike says, and I can't hear the other half because I got a bad ear. But I am incredibly glad I did not listen to Spike's. The Eagles have no shot in this game.
Oh, hang the fuck on.
I made a lot of money off of the Eagles.
No, Token's question, or fake Token's question yesterday was that he had the Saints money line. Do I hedge with Eagles money line? Okay. And I said no, they have no chance. And I didn't.
Question, yeah.
And it was whether or not they could cover the 8 was never a question of what we were talking about last night.
BDN had the ball in his hands with a chance to win the game, and Alshon Jeffrey.
And this is the problem.
Alshon Jeffrey completely forgot how to catch a football.
This is the problem with the Eagles. In 2 playoff games, they have benefited from a missed field goal, and everybody's like, "Oh, the Eagles are so good." No, they're not. The other teams made mistakes. That doesn't mean the Eagles are good. That means the other teams fucked up at inopportune times.
But then by that logic,
Eagles are good enough to barely sneak in the playoffs this year, but they're still good enough to be in the playoffs, though. I'll give them that.
I mean, getting in is half the battle. That's all you got to do is get in. I mean, we've seen the Giants 2 years. The only 2 years they made the playoffs in the last 15, and all they did was get in, and that led them to 2 rings. I mean, I just can't see how you say that the Eagles have 0 shot to win the game. I don't buy it.
No,
I don't buy it in the NFL that any team has 0 shot to win the game.
No,
lost if you're the Lions.
You guys still won 4 games this year?
6.
Hey,
even better.
Yeah, Matt Patricia's on a roll. Give that man an extension.
I mean, he beat the Packers twice in his first opening season.
There's only 3 teams that have gone an entire season without winning a game, and yes, they're normally bad teams.
Certainly, but I think the point is that if someone had said that I don't think the Chargers stand a chance to win, or I don't think the Colts stand a chance to win, those would have been legit good calls, because as the game played out, both of those teams really had no business being in that game right from the first snap. So that's I think the only point to be made. And while the question was posed for a football question, and then Spike answered it to the best of his ability, he happened to not be correct about that game, which is fine.
By the way, Aaron was also the one saying that the Colts could beat the Chiefs this weekend. Get the fuck out of here with that.
I did say that as well.
I said the Colts could be the Chiefs, but if we review our picks, which we do later, I think I had Chiefs in a laugher. So
Weird. Okay,
this
well,
is
whatever. The
backpedaling.
whole point is that
I
This is going to be an
Colts.
angry podcast.
I don't know why everyone is so angry, but that's okay.
I'm amped. I've only had about 400 calories total for the last 3 days. God
I
damn.
just
fucking
in,
diet shit.
in gambling, there's no such thing as no
400
shot.
calories on the way up here.
In gambling, there is just no such
Actually, I had more than that for sure.
In gambling, there's no such thing as no shot. I don't agree with that logic ever. I mean, you picked UMBC of all people. You should
Retrievers. The
You
Retrievers.
should be the spokesperson for there's no such thing as no shot. You are the only guy I knew that had the 16 seed beating the 1 seed. So, I mean,
I really should have gotten bonus points for that, by the way.
well, you can draft up our March Madness podcast because
All right.
Yeah. That's
Wait, that means I have to
Few
watch
months
college
around.
basketball. Fuck.
No, you don't have to watch
you
it.
don't have to watch it. You just draft up a bracket on how we do it.
I recommend don't watching, just so you know.
I like college
Just
basketball.
throw darts
I
at your picks and
I like college basketball. I don't have enough time to watch all of. There's what are there 300 college Division I teams?
something more than that, I think.
I mean, there's triple the amount of college football teams playing Division I basketball. So
Someone said they had over 110 games going on Saturday. Division I college
shock me.
basketball games.
Oh
which
my
is pretty
God.
amazing.
well, there you go. If there's 110 games, that means there's at least 220 teams.
Over 110. I don't know how many there were, but there were
I'm
over.
just saying there's at least 220 teams playing. So, anyways, all right, here's your shot. You got to thank the sponsors.
Oh yeah. Get to that part.
Come on,
It's gonna be
Token.
the struggle.
We got
All
a
right.
new sponsor too. You don't think you know that. So you haven't been on the podcast since we got it.
I missed that one.
No, I missed that one. Yeah. So we got
Shows he listens to us when he's not here.
this last week. I did not listen to you. The previous week I did listen. When I wasn't here.
See, when he goes 7-1. Oops, hello.
I listened before the
Man
games.
down.
Even. Yeah, tablet down. Let's thank the sponsors. Well, we're still here. VJK Pop Sockets, Eric on the Web, Chai Poker, and most importantly, 12-ounce Sports for putting our shit on every week, 3-4 times a week.
Yep, that is
pretty
true.
good. You got it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You got it.
And what's the new one?
Our newest one is Vegas Puckline Apparel. They are a new company specializing in Vegas Golden Knights merchandise, which if you head the website, which I believe is vegaspuckline.com, it's a pretty good selection. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and recap. Token, you're doing great. Keep going.
All right, so let's dive right in. Colts Chiefs, the early game on Saturday. Let's remind the listeners our picks after we recap this one a little.
Let's remind them how the bet goes.
Yeah.
So for every game in the playoffs, we were picking against both the spread and against the total. Every game you get right is worth 2 points. Unlike our regular season bet, you don't actually lose anything for getting it wrong. And we are kind of doing this cumulative through the playoffs. So far, we're doing no bonus bets, no
Just straight
locks.
handicapping.
Yeah, no blind bets, nothing like that. We're just going straight against the total and against the spreads. So for this game, Indianapolis at Kansas City played Saturday. We had it as Kansas City is a 5-point favorite. They finished at a 4.5-point favorite. The total we had at 56.5. And I can't read that.
It dropped down like 52 and a half.
It dropped on covers.com, has it as 54.5 closing out.
That's when they realized that a snowstorm ran through Kansas City right before the game started.
So on this game, you want to recap how we all picked?
Yeah, let's
right.
do that.
So, Token, you were the lone person rolling with the Colts in this one. Indy plus the 5.
I literally thought they had a shot to keep this game close, if not win this game, and neither of that even came close. So,
And Aaron and I both had Kansas City minus the 5 in this. Token and Aaron both took over 56.5. And I had the under, so I went 2 for 2 in this one.
yeah, that's a big swing for sure. This game ended up finishing 31-13. Chiefs with the big victory. Mahomes looked pretty decent in this one against the decent Colts defense, especially. Big stat in this one was Damian Williams, though. 25 carries, 129 yards. That was the big piece to the offense that needed to keep them in this for sure.
Yeah, we talked about it. I think the best thing that ever happened to Kansas City's offense is, after Kareem Hunt got cut, was Spencer Ware getting hurt, because I feel like he's not the running back. And again, I'm not propping up Damian Williams as this all-pro, but he's been hot. But they said as soon as Ware gets back and healthy, he's going to be the guy. Well, him not being in obviously forced the hand of Damian Williams to be played. And like I said, Patrick Mahomes, 278, no touchdowns. I mean, for a guy who threw 50 in the regular season, it was basically all on the ground. Hill had a touchdown on the ground. Darrell Williams had a touchdown on the ground. Damian had a touchdown, and even Mahomes ran for one as well. And the snow probably affected the game plan, but, I mean, the Chiefs could run the ball, and the Colts couldn't. And I think that at the end of the day, when you're talking about they had no chance, you can't run the ball. You can't run it. You can't plan. You can't have a game plan for running the ball when you're down 24-7 going into the third quarter.
Absolutely not, yeah. And that was a big part to the Chiefs to keep the clock ticking and all that, and wear down the clock and wear down the Colts defense for sure.
I think I kind of like to use a Mike Tyson analogy in this one. Is everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth, and I think the Colts got punched in the mouth right out of the gate. Yeah, right out of the gate. And my Marlon Mack under prop came through. I had the over last week, had the under this week. This was before I even knew about the snowstorm. They made his prop way too high. I think it was like 77 yards.
Oh, wow, yeah, that does seem pretty high, yeah.
So I thought, if anything, without the weather, I thought Andrew Luck would be the one carving up Kansas City's defense if he had a shot. But with the weather like it was, yeah, and then them getting behind too early, Mack had 9 carries. Still had a good 5-yard average, but 9 carries, unless you break one, is going to be tough.
Very true, yeah. And that Chiefs little secondary is not too shabby, as bad as the defense seems to be, but I don't know.
I mean, the defense is tremendously bad, and we saw that in the regular season. I actually looked this up because my father, being the ultra pessimist Patriots fan, doesn't think that they can score against Kansas City's defense. They were.
Is your dad losing it?
They were the 9th worst defense in the league for scoring, 2nd worst defense in the league for yards per game, 2nd worst defense in the league for passing yards per game. So if you think that Brady is going to struggle against a team that is the 2nd worst passing defense in the league when it comes to yards per game,
it's against the Chiefs, right?
Yeah, they're giving up 270 some odd yards through the air per game on average.
They were 2nd worst against the pass. I'm going to guess the Bucs were the worst against the pass.
I would have to look that up. You might be right, but
the Bucs and the Chiefs, I believe, were setting records this year in terms of poorest defensive performance, and they didn't even have Eric Berry out there.
New Orleans was really bad too.
Yeah,
New Orleans.
Yeah,
were they?
Teams got behind.
But for
true, yeah.
total yards, the Kansas City was giving up over 400 yards per game. So if you think that a Brady-led offense going against a defense that averages 400 yards per game is going to struggle, then you're out of your mind. And I told my dad that earlier today. But
and on top of that, there's already one, sample this year of 43 points.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that preview maybe later. But, yeah, that's the kind of thing. But, I mean, the Chiefs' defense stepped it up Saturday and really did a number on Andrew Luck. Looked like he was confused a lot of the time when he was in the pocket. 19 to 36 for 203. He did have the one touchdown through the air, but really nothing going. And I think, what was it? They didn't get their first down until there was about 5 minutes left in the second quarter.
Something around there, yeah.
So
there was no luck for Luck in this game for sure.
Yeah, no, this was not a good offensive production by Indianapolis whatsoever.
Well, and that's the thing, when you get down 24-7, and we talk about how bad Kansas City's defense is, but, any defense gets better when they don't have to
worry about the run,
worry about one dimension of the offense.
Right.
So, you've been quiet.
No, just taking it all in. You guys are.
Did you have any player? Did you have any player props in this one, Tony?
I did. We just had one, which we were actually fortunate we were able to post on the website on Vegas Squares with the Tony Johnson prop bet section, and we had Andrew Luck under 307 passing yards, and
I thought that total was a little high.
Yeah, my analysis really kind of thought it'd be around in the 250 range, just based on a couple of different ways I thought the game could go.
Especially with them expecting that weather, too.
Yeah, I mean, the weather was definitely a factor as well. That was one of the reasons why I was a fan of the under, which we also had posted on there too. But, it's just kind of strange how Indy was really out of the game, as you guys have said, pretty early on. They just got hit in the face and were down immediately 14 points. And it was just like things just kept, piling, right on top of each other as the snowballs came down from the stands for a little while. It was an interesting time. So I will say that I was surprised at how rough Indy's offense did look for the first really 3 quarters of the game. They got a little bit better in the fourth quarter and had a couple nice drives, but yeah, it was pretty light. So him only finishing with 203 was really solid. And then we came in with the under, which really it was a high-scoring first half. It was 24-7 in the first half, so fortunate there. But one of those touchdowns was a special teams touchdown too, so it's hard to sort of count those types of things. Those are pretty rare, special teams touchdowns, that is. So yeah, I feel pretty good about the game, and not terribly surprised who the winner was, but really how going away Kansas City was in this game against a team that had won 10 out of their last 11.
Yeah, that is true. All right, let's move on to the later game on Saturday. That was the Rams against the Cowboys, and this one was pretty back and forth in the early part, and then late in the first half, the Rams kind of took over this game and ran with it.
No pun intended.
So the total on this one ended up Rams were a 7-point favorite. That's what it was when we picked it. That's where it stayed. When we picked, the total was at 49. It actually dropped to 48 by kickoff. It didn't matter. It went well over the total at 52. So that came in. So for this one, both Token and I had the Rams minus the 7, really squeaking that out at the end. And Aaron deciding to take the Cowboys plus the 7 on that. Both Token and Aaron going over the total of 49. I went under. I didn't think the Cowboys would be able to score even that many points. So that didn't work out for me. But kudos to the two of you for thinking the over.
And before we kind of go into this, I left just overall thought process on this. I actually left the game. Oh, I hit off of the... It was on mute. I hit off the mute.
Professionalism.
Excuses.
It just banged off the mute button. I actually left this game, again, no dog in the fight here, but I actually left this game feeling optimistic about the future of the Cowboys. So go ahead and rip away on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had talked about that briefly. I think you had made a statement along the lines that the division seems to be going through the Cowboys, at least in the near future, and to me, I can't ever make that statement or ever feel confident about that when Jason Garrett is at the helm of this team. I do think he's a subpar coach in this day and age.
I think you're overreacting.
I agree with Tony over there,
Well,
actually.
I
actually have a bold prediction for next season going forward.
I mean, the guy's won 4 division titles.
3, I believe. I think it's 3.
Yeah, 3 division titles in 8 years, all recently. I don't know. I don't see the underachieving or the ill-effectiveness of... I actually think it's Scott Linehan. Actually, the offense was better under Jason Garrett, and for whatever reason, Jerry decided he needed to get an offensive coordinator and force the seeding hand of Jason Garrett's play calling. I actually think Jason Garrett needs to fire Linehan and take back the play calling. They were a better team. Again, that was Romo, but I think he can make more out of Prescott and Amari Cooper, and God forbid, we talked about it earlier, if they can get Antonio Brown as well, which seems highly unlikely, but I think one more year with Prescott here is a show-me year with Ezekiel Elliott. I don't know. I think the future's bright here for Dallas. What they did, I mean, keeping it this close, going on the road. Again, I actually, we talked about this before. I thought they had very little shot of beating the Rams in this game, and I think they hung tough.
Yeah, they were pretty fortunate this year in the division, too. Don't forget that Washington lost 95 quarterbacks along the way, and Philly really had a very down year.
Sure. But Washington still had to go through Dallas if they wanted. They still had two games with Dallas before Alex Smith went down.
No, I understand, but there were 2 games. They had a 2-game lead in the division when Alex Smith went down. So,
I'm aware. No, I'm saying I'm not saying that Alex.
They were very, very, very fortunate to win the division this year. There's no question about it. They were extremely fortunate with the circumstances, and Philly being as weak as they were was totally out of the blue as well. So I'm not saying that they can't win the division next year. Of course, they're going to be a favorite. Absolutely, you're right about that. But to me, to give this portion, credit to Dallas being this really good team, I mean that.
I'm not 100% sure they'd be favored.
Oh yeah,
Carson Wentz comes back. Alex Smith comes back. Books and fans know what the Washington Redskins did when Alex Smith. I mean, like you said, they had a two-game lead on the rest of the division. Wait, I know who they won't be. I know who won't be favored is the Giants, but
Yeah, for sure.
it wouldn't shock me if Washington may be the favorite.
Speaking of bold predictions, that's my lean on that division is the Giants.
Yeah, I think the Giants will improve.
It's not a bold prediction. That's a dumb prediction.
I'm full of those, though.
That's a drunk prediction.
They're going to improve. I mean, I don't think there's any question the Giants will improve. They can really only go up here. They have a lot of really
They can't
good...
go up as long as 10's under center.
Well, yeah, but that's not necessarily going to happen. Like we don't know what's going to happen per se.
And they have to either trade for Flacco or draft Dwayne Haskins.
Right, but that's
Or
fine.
trade for Derek Carr.
Whatever the case is, they can't really get a whole lot worse. That's sort of the point. Is that we've seen the bottom.
I think they can. Weren't they like 6-10 this year? They can get a whole lot worse.
I don't agree.
But the team that won the division was 10-6, so that's only a difference of 4 games. I mean, towards the middle of the season, they were punting.
You are correct. It is 4 games.
Ooh, I'm glad he checked the math on that one.
Had to use almost his whole hand.
I almost had to use one whole hand to get that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think
I hope we do season-long bowl predictions in the next podcast.
that'd be nice.
In the next season.
Yeah, we could do it during the offseason right around draft time or something.
I'd be down for that. As much as I hate to say it about Jason Garrett, because I've thought he should have been fired a long time ago, but the more I look at his record and the more I look at his stats, I think I have to agree with Aaron.
Last 5 years, they've won 48, 49 games.
It's 7 of the last 8 years they've been 500 or better. They had the one season where they fell to 4-12. Otherwise, they've been 8-8, 12-4, 13-3, 9-7, 10-6.
With Romo and Dak Prescott, I believe their records are above 500, with the exception of last year.
Yeah, and so they're
500 or better is what I mean.
Yeah, I think he is the right fit. I think he has been able to get the most out of Prescott, be able to keep them competitive in the division, which is fine. I thought a long time ago that he should have been fired. I thought maybe he had some dirt on Jerry Jones, which is why he wasn't getting fired.
He still might. I don't know.
But I think
if he was going to get fired, it would have been one of the first 3 years, or maybe the 4-12 year.
Yeah, no.
The 4-12 year was Romo went down. I think they started a combination of like Kellen Moore, Brandon Weeden, and fucking Vic Fangio.
Oof.
Yeah.
But I think Jason Garrett's getting a bad rep. I mean, a lot of people are calling for his head, but if they actually take a look at what he's done, I mean, 3 division titles in 8 years. A lot of coaches don't do that. And again, if you're going to fire him, I think it should have been earlier on in his tenure than right now. So, but the Rams, I mean, not to take anything away from the Rams, I mean, this is what happens. You know, the Cowboys are a topic of discussion. They didn't even win the ball game. You know, the better story is always in the losing locker room. But I mean, the Rams, Jared Goff, I believe he had 175 yards passing or something like that. And
186.
Yeah, I mean, he virtually the game plan was built around the two-headed monster of Gurley and Anderson. Which, I mean, if you had a prop bet that C.J. Anderson would get more carries than Todd Gurley, I mean, what would be the plus money on that one?
Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, I would not have called that either. But
more carries and more yards.
Imagine if the Rams had a Cooper Kupp at this time, though. They'd be probably.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Reynolds and Cooks and Woods seem to kind of be gelling as a three-headed monster. Josh Reynolds is turning into a pretty decent third option, but yeah, Cooper Kupp, when he went down, the offense did sputter for a little bit of time. Prop bet wild card guy, though, Michael Gallup, 6 for 119, had some big catches in this game too.
Yeah,
he was excellent. He actually kind of righted the ship a little bit when Dallas needed some drives and points in the second half. He really emerged there. I think he only had maybe one catch for 5 or 6 yards in the first half and really blew it up in the second half. So yeah, credit to Michael Gallup for getting better as the season goes on, and being a rookie at one of the hardest positions to play. As a rookie, he's certainly gotten better as the year progresses. So I think the future is bright, certainly for him as a Dallas Cowboy. And yeah, it was a nice rebound from Dallas here. I thought they were going to get potentially run out of the stadium, but they hung in there and at least made it a game and had an outside chance at the end. So yeah, they didn't give up, and they played hard. It was a solid performance, certainly in the second half for Dallas. And yeah, from the player prop perspective, we only had one official. Well, that was actually unofficial. It wasn't not in the article, but we did have one very small play on Gurley over 80 1.5 rushing yards, and the only reason that one was bad is because it was plus 140 at one point.
Oh wow!
As that line was moving up and down in a few different books. So yeah, I got fortunate there. I thought CJ would get some carries. Again, he had 200 and something yards the previous 2 weeks, but didn't think it would be this many when Gurley was off the injury report. But it was fortunate that he had 2 long runs. He had a 35-yard run, and then I think it was like a 27 or 28-yard run as well. So
that kind of sealed the deal.
Yeah, that was pretty fortunate there. But surprised how well and how easily LA ran the ball against a really strong Dallas rush defense. So that was the biggest surprise.
And on the flip side is against the porous rush defense, Dallas really didn't run the ball very well.
Right, that's true.
I mean, they did have 2 rushing touchdowns, which is great, but I believe both from were like 1 or 2 yards out. So, I mean, Zeke, 20 carries, 47 yards. Like we said, I mean, I actually thought if he doesn't run for a 90 to 100, they're going to get run out of the building. So actually the score being what it is, looking at that stat actually is a little more surprising as well. And, like I said, I came out of this thinking, the Dallas had a very minimal shot, and I actually feel very optimistic going forward for this team. I think Dak's going to show me years, Zeke's going to Zeke, and if they can add another compliment to Amari Cooper, or if Michael Gallup can develop into a solid second wide receiver, I think as long as there's no injuries, this team is definitely going to be a force in the NFC East. So.
That is true. All right, let's move on to the morning games on Sunday. Let's go to Patriots-Chargers. I know Spike's dying at the bit to talk about that one.
Spike's bold prediction hit.
Yes.
What was this bold prediction? Let's
hit.
Remind the listeners.
It was a little late. What I said was that this game would go over by midway through the third quarter, and it actually took about with 2.5, 3 minutes left in the third quarter before it went over.
Because the Patriots had that long drive.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like 12 minutes.
They were content to taking time off the clock, which was fine. As long as it went over, I didn't care. This game ended as a 3.5-point favorite for the Patriots. We had it as a 4-point favorite. The total stayed pat at 47.5. Token, for some mind-blowing reason, took the Chargers here, plus the 4.
His proxy loved it, too.
Proxy loved
it.
I thought it would be a close game. Patriots game-winning field goal or something, I mean.
Actually, proxy said that it would be, 24-23 Pats on a Badgley missed field goal.
I thought there was a field goal late. I put the
yes.
token move on the field goal late. But a missed field goal late.
And the under would come through.
Yes, that's right. The Patriots win, but we cover.
I was saying
with
like
our
24, 21, 20.
Yeah.
That's right. That's where I was there.
Oh, there you go.
Because I wanted the under to come home.
So how'd that work out for you guys?
Speaking of missed kicks, we didn't talk about Vinatieri missing kicks.
Swing and a miss.
The early game, but
Yeah, he missed, an extra point in the field goal?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In the grand scheme of things, it
didn't matter,
yeah.
but I think he's going to be done in Indy at this point.
It was in the snow and the cold.
I don't care. He's 45. They got to.
I don't know what his contract status is. He may be done.
For the totals, Token once again, wrong side of it, taking the under 47.5. Aaron and I both had over 47.5 in this one, and not only that, if we get into props later, I did have Chargers team total over 22.
Yeah.
So by the end of the game, I was actively rooting for the Chargers to score points, which was
weird.
Which was not fun, but it got there.
If we were doing bold predictions, you did say the Patriots would hang 40 by themselves.
Yes.
And you were correct. That last field goal in the fourth quarter got you there. But even then, I would have given you kudos if they only had 38, because I didn't think they were getting that high. Although I did think they were going to obviously cover the 3. I said they'd win by exactly 10, and Chargers almost made it that way.
Yeah, they were trying.
Yeah.
So, also, speaking of prop bets, I also said that Rex Burkhead would lead the team in rushing yards, and that did not happen either. He had 12.
No, I had. Did I have Sonny Michel.
You both had Sonny Michel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought for some reason, with Sonny, being the game plan, that he would get probably 15, 16 carries, that they would actually split, and that clearly couldn't have been further from the truth.
24-4 ratio.
Yeah, I knew it wouldn't be James White because I knew he was too valuable as a passing option.
Yeah, he had 15 catches.
Yeah, but
now, even though he had 15 catches, I can't remember a game where James White didn't get even one carry, though.
I know, it does seem strange, but...
perfect game plan.
Yeah, no, it worked. And
they took Melvin Gordon out immediately of the game. He did have a touchdown late, but they took they took any threat of the run just out.
Yeah, what am I looking at? 10 between the two running backs, 10 total carries for 19 yards.
Yeah.
Am I reading that right?
Yeah, 10 total carries.
You're
Melvin
absolutely
Gordon,
right.
9 for 15.
I mean, that's just absurd. For a Patriots defense that at times struggled this year, all 5 of their losses this year came against teams that didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, it almost seems like, I don't want to say play down to the competition, but it almost felt like, they didn't give it their all against teams when they believed, at least in their mind, they were better than.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think, too, part of it is that towards the end of the year, they started stowing some of their better game plans for the playoffs, knowing that they were going to get in, which is something that they do seem to do. And now the crazy thing is that this game is being
they
played.
start off slow in the early part of the season.
Yeah, that is true. But this game, the AFC Championship game, which we can preview later, but this is being played in Kansas City because of fucking Miami's stupid goddamn Hail Mary lateral from the kickoff, the run back to steal that game away.
Yeah.
But
Make a tackle.
yeah, no, it's absurd that.
I mean, you could say it's that. You could say it's getting curb stomped by the Jaguars in week 2.
Oh yeah, no,
You could say it's getting curb stomped by the Lions in week 4.
right, but I mean, you're the one that says any team can beat any team in the league. So
Yeah, no, I know.
if those losses, those are losses. Fine, those are fine.
The getting crushed is
Yeah,
what you're saying. So that one
it's
fluke,
that
1% play.
stupid play
Yeah.
that determines the fact that the AFC Championship game is not being played in Foxborough this year.
Yeah, that happens.
But this is Phillip Rivers is kind of having a little bit of a hissy fit.
That one kick by Brandon McManus that beat the Chargers is the reason that they're not playing this game in L.A.
True.
Or actually, L.A. would be the 1 seed. Actually,
LA would have been the 1 seed.
they beat the Broncos in that game. L.A.'s the 1 seed. So there's a lot of different.
Then they played the Colts and
they would have played the Colts in the first game,
and then whoever won.
and New England would
Let's
have.
not go down this hole.
I'm just saying.
There's nightmares at the end of those.
There's parts of everybody's season where things could have gone. I mean, you can use that. 2012 Ravens would have never have made the playoffs without that Ray Rice 4th and 27.
Oh yeah, hey diddle diddle.
I mean,
Ray
you can
Rice
go
up the
down.
middle.
You can go down the line.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Proxy doesn't like it, but we can turn his mic down.
It's true. It's always an option.
But yeah, Phillip Rivers decided to throw hissy fits at the refs, at his offensive line, at receivers running the wrong routes. Basically, everybody but himself in this game, and he didn't have a bad game.
A lot of garbage time.
Yeah, 331 yards in garbage time, 3 touchdowns and a pick. He was under 50% completion rate though, 25 of 51. So not the best look for Phillip Rivers there, and yeah, that's that.
He always struggles against New England too.
Yeah, but this.
0-8's a pretty telling stat. Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at this the spread. I mean, Edelman 9 catches, 13 targets. White 17 targets, 15 catches. Dorset. I mean, I even said I was like they need Dorset to do something.
Yep. And
4
he got in
catches,
there.
5 targets, and a touchdown.
That's a whole lot for him. Yeah.
Gronk, they're going to need Gronk next week. They're going to need the middle of the field.
I think Gronkowski, is too hurt to be a difference maker anymore.
I mean,
I think he's done.
I mean, only getting targeted once in the game. He looked. I mean, on that catch, he looked fine.
He did. He looks slow.
Well, he is slow.
No, but I mean, off the line, he looks slower than Gronkowski usually
He's
is.
good when he's blocking, but when he's getting off the line,
Gronk's been pretty slow off the line as it is. I mean, if you can buy time, 3 or 4 seconds to get him down the field. When I was watching the game, I kind of just in my head when I watched his 25-yard catch, all I kept thinking is, "Here's the juggernaut, bitch." That's all. I mean, when he gets ahead of steam, he broke 3 tackles.
Oh yeah, no, he's impossible to tackle, especially 1-on-1, sometimes 2-on-1.
Yeah.
But if you watch him off the line now compared to even last year or 2 years ago, he's at least a step slower. He can't cut like he used to.
He'll be targeted more in the next game.
I hope so, but this
More
is
than one, I would hope. Yeah.
I mean, it's just
if they want to win, he has to be targeted more and make obviously probably
they're going
a good chunk of those catches.
I don't
It'd be
think
hard to do less.
I don't think Kansas City has anything that can stop him defensive wise. I mean, again, we already know Kansas City's defense, but I mean, their linebackers aren't fast enough, even with a slow Gronk.
Oh no, that's not true. He can't move, Aaron. That's not true.
I mean,
He
who do
can't
they
move
have?
him.
Alex Hitchens? Who's
Doesn't
going to
matter.
cover this guy?
Anyone can move with him. Tackling is a different story.
Yeah.
Anyone in the NFL can do it.
I'll make a bold prediction. He gets over 25 yards and he gets over 1 catch.
Yeah, that's not bold at all.
Yeah, I agree.
No,
that will happen.
I mean, you guys think I don't think he's done. I mean, I think he's hurt. He's clearly hurt.
I mean,
He probably gets 4 to 6 catches.
he's 6 inches taller than anybody else in the defense.
And
so
that matters.
all he has to do is throw it high. But I mean, that's the difference between him being hit by Brady, 8 yards down the field as opposed to 20, or opposed to 15. Like, he is not the same guy that he was because of these injuries.
And I think he's so dominant that he doesn't need to be. I think Gronk at 75% is better than every tight end that's not named Ertz or Kelsey.
No,
and maybe
not
Ebron.
Close. No, he can't play. He keeps
saying that.
Because he can't.
I don't
look
buy
at
it.
his numbers. You look at him, watch him play. He can't play.
I don't
This
buy
is
it.
the most.
Yeah, well, you thought the
glaring-
Chargers could play, and they didn't play either. So.
They put up 28.
It's the
Yeah,
most
I can put up 28 in garbage time.
obvious, player there is that can't play anymore.
I don't agree
He
with it.
can't.
Okay, I mean, you
Everything
can
bears
say
this
he can't 10 times. I don't agree with you.
out. Everything, but every
Say it again.
statistical category bears this out. He can't play.
He said it again 11 times. I don't agree with you. All right, well, let's look at the losing locker room. And do the Chargers begin a search for a new quarterback? Again, not next year immediately, but there are a few quarterbacks that fit the mold, Will Grier being one, that fit the mold of what the Chargers do and what Phillip Rivers does. I mean, is it time to start grooming a quarterback? I mean, I think the Chargers are one of those teams that have waited, now I would say waited long enough.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a horrible idea, but I think this season upcoming, unless if you get Greer or something, then you wait till the following year.
Yeah, Rivers was drafted in, 04?
Yeah, he was the 04 draft with Eli and Ben.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, so, I mean, it has to be time for them to start thinking about it, because the fact that he's lasted this long has already defied expectations, I think.
And again, I don't think he's the problem. And the reason that they were 12-4 this year, I mean, with him. So, but I mean, I got to imagine that, you got to start somewhere. I mean, all these guys are in contract years. Melvin Gordon's going to start wanting to get paid. You got to start getting somebody groomed. And, I mean,
I think if they had another running back and maybe just beef up that offensive line a little.
I mean, who's the Achilles heel of the Chargers? I mean, I'm not saying they're a bad team, but
The kicker.
He was good.
Why? He was fine. Yeah, the kicker was fine.
Yeah,
I mean, the defense is good. Derwin James, probably rookie of the year on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, Melvin Gordon, when he's healthy, is a fantastic runner. And
who else do they have at running back, though?
that Justin Jackson and Austin Eckler.
Eckler, yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not saying he's the problem. I'm just saying if you're going to shake somebody up, they're not firing the coach.
No.
Over the next 2 years, I think. I mean, Phillip Rivers is 37, I believe.
Sounds right.
There, yeah.
If you want to go into this new stadium with maybe a new face of the franchise, because you're talking about a 40-year-old quarterback potentially, or a 39-year-old quarterback.
Might be the time to consider.
I think
here
they
shortly.
target Drew Lock or Will Grier in this draft, especially if they can get them, because they're going to have, I mean, what are we talking here, the 26th or 27th pick? Or
something around there, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I think if Greer's available, they jump on him. Lock, I'm not entirely sold on, though.
I see Grier.
Oh God!
I see. Well, you're not going to go after him in the first round. I think Lock's going to fall, but they're not getting Haskins. I think Haskins, for reasons that I don't agree with, is shooting up the boards.
Yeah, he is, but I'm not sold on him either. I think Greer is probably the best quarterback in this draft. That potentially has what it makes to be a good pro quarterback. So
I still think Haskins is the best quarterback in this draft, which is a testament to how bad this quarterback class is. But I mean, that's a whole other bag of worms. My curiosity is at some point. Look, I mean, we all I would say agree the Giants waited too long, and now you don't want, with this kind of talent on both sides of the ball, you don't want to wait too long on Phillip Rivers either. But he's still not a bad quarterback, so they're in really a big conundrum, because Phillip Rivers is way outperforming Eli Manning.
Right. I think the problem is with quarterbacks, too, is that when their performance drops, it drops off a fucking cliff pretty instantaneously. So drafting a guy now with the expectation that he starts in 2 years is probably the right move for the Chargers, so that they can learn under Rivers, learn what the system is, learn how to be a professional, learn how to manage the Southern California market, this, that, and the other thing. This is what Rivers, if he is a true mentor, if he's a true leader, he should be able to step up and do this. And this is why I think that my big knock on Peyton Manning has always been this, is that he always went to the front office and said, do not draft somebody that I'm going to have to mentor. I won't do it.
And I'm okay with both ways, because I'm okay with a guy who can see the writing on the wall and is just ready to kind of hand the reins.
Yeah.
At the same time, I can see the competitor, and I'd be willing to say there was a level of conversation that we don't know about, that Tom Brady probably walked in the room and said the same thing about Garoppolo, Mallett, all these guys too. So
supposedly that was Kraft, not Brady.
Well, I think Belichick wanted to move on, and Kraft said, Brady goes when he wants to go. And I don't know. I mean, again, we weren't in these meetings, but
yeah, but that's been the report out of Boston for the last year since the Garoppolo trade. It was
because Brady's still worth money on top of his performance.
Oh, for sure.
Brady's still one of the big selling points.
He's the highest
of the NFL,
highest selling jersey this season.
Was he again?
Was Brady?
Really?
Yeah.
Was he again? I know he was up there.
Wow. Surprising.
So
I thought somebody else was, but I know he was.
Yeah,
no worse than top 3.
He
Definitely wasn't Le'Veon Bell.
They were just talking about that on the Patriots subreddit there. That Brady got it again.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, definitely not Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Maybe it'll be Antonio Brown in the clearance bin come.
I was just
Fire sale. Yep.
That's the market.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
There's probably a fire sale here shortly.
Especially those ugly
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee. ones.
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Oh
yeah.
God!
I got a Bumblebee Roethlisberger. I don't know where.
Speaking of jerseys, I did get a New Jersey, or I won a New Jersey actually.
You won a New
go to the strip
Jersey.
club?
No, Dave & Buster's.
Nice.
Oh, Dave and Buster. They're giving out
Okay.
jerseys now?
Oh yeah, 30,000 tickets. You get an autographed jersey.
How much did you spend for 30,000 tickets?
I got from work the Dave & Buster gift cards, but it only took me like $120 worth of.
Solid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And do we want to know who the jersey is?
If you guys want to,
Of course we do.
All right. What sport?
Football,
NFL.
I was
NFL.
thinking,
Yeah.
Oh, it's NFL. Okay. Go for it.
Clowney.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Did you have a choice? Like what
No, it was all random.
Oh,
it was like
okay.
in a box and
And is it
sealed and
actually
all that.
autographed or is it a print autograph?
It's actual autograph and COA and all that. Yep.
Oh, wow.
I would sell that tomorrow.
Yeah, that's got to go up on eBay.
I know.
Think about wearing it around.
I don't know.
Okay.
Wearing it around or getting a case for it.
Yeah,
Jadavian.
make sure you get those cases when they go on sale, though, because
Yeah.
you know how much those fucking cases are?
I know. I bought one for my office at work.
Fuck, they're like $200.
Yeah, they're insane.
Because I was like, I got a half off coupon to Michael's, and even then at $100, I was like, fuck, I thought they were like 40.
No. Oh, dude, framing is such a fucking racket. My wife and I have 20 or so prints in our house that we haven't framed yet because we can't afford it. We make good money. Well, she makes good money. I make shit, but she makes.
We collectively, you're like
The two
you're
of
like
us
the
together.
Gretzky's. She scored 3,000 goals. I scored 4. But we collectively
So the
are
Gretzky
great.
brothers lead the NHL. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's. But we can't afford to get everything framed at the same time because it is such a fucking racket.
What a business to be in.
I know.
Framing. Holy cow! All right.
That's it's insane. But this game for me
Depends
was
what
the,
kind of framing you're talking about.
yeah. This game for me was the only one that I was betting on this weekend because this is the only one that I really felt comfortable with. I had the Pats, I had the over, I had both parlayed, I had under 4 sacks in this game, I had Chargers team total over 22. Nailed basically everything, so I was happy about that. The only thing I missed is that I took Saints, Rams, Chiefs money line plus Chargers money line as kind of a happiness hedge, and put that on a parlay, and that blew out, which is I'm fine with.
Yeah, my prop bets were of the square variety, but they came in, most of them. I had over 9.5 first quarter, over 23.5 first half, which was pretty much good by the first quarter.
Yep.
And I had the over on the sacks, which New England held up their bargain. I thought Melvin Ingram and Bosa would get to the quarterback twice. So I thought I was getting 4, and then maybe, you get the extra late sack on the last drive or something, thinking the game might be closer. But the Chargers did not hold up their end. They certainly looked like the Clippers.
No, the Pats offensive line, I think they're the MVP of this game.
They played well.
They played very well.
Paved the way for, 150 yards rushing?
Yeah, and, Brady going 34 or 44. Even with 150 yards on the ground, he still put up 343 through the air.
He put up sneaky 343, too, because
Oh,
I
yeah.
felt like they were just running
It's
the
like
ball
chunks of
all
8 to
day.
15 yards, yeah.
Yeah, and actually felt good about laying away. I actually wanted the under on Julian Julian Edelman at 6.5 catches. So I'm actually glad I stayed away from that.
Ah.
That feels like a win, too.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you have anything in this one, Proxy?
No, I was just as you guys were saying, I was impressed with the 34 completions from Tom Brady. His number was, I think it was like 24.5 or something like that.
So, I know for touchdown
That's
passes
crazy.
it was 1.5, and it was like pretty heavily juiced on the over.
Yeah, I guess you could have made something. Well, that would have been interesting. You bet the over on comps and the under on the touchdown passes.
Yeah.
But no, I had we had a couple a couple larger ones, then one small one. We fortunately the small one was the one that missed, which was Melvin Gordon over rushing yards. That one dropped down from about 68 to 64 right near game time, and then I thought that was
quadruple his total, and he doesn't get there.
Yeah, I thought it was good enough really at 68, but I was kind of waiting it out. Just
never a sweat.
Just based on the New England sort of love that seems to come down in these games where opposing players tend to drop a bit, especially offensive players, which is sort of odd because the Patriots are more of an offensive team. But yeah, so there was that, and then we had Gordon himself for a touchdown at minus 120, and he was able to get one in their second touchdown of the game in the third quarter, right on the goal line. And then the other large one was the aforementioned Gronkowski, under 53.5 yards. And my breakdown of the game was he'd be in the 35-ish range. Thought he'd have more than one reception. I was surprised he only had only one target. That was surprising. But, yeah, only 25 yards, so we were pleased about that. I've made that bet a couple of times this year in spots where I think his number just gets inflated because people think it's 2009 or something. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's one of those interesting figures because his numbers have his receiving yards numbers, and I've watched this very closely because he's always a prop bet because he's obviously a very well-known name. His numbers have dropped significantly over the last year. I mean, these odds makers are pretty good about seemingly understanding where these guys are. And, if it gets any lower, I'm not saying I'm going to start betting the other side, but it's really where you probably have to shut it down a little bit because I think 53.5, even though it looks like he did it with ease in this game, that is low enough where you get that one long completion or a few missed tackles, and he can chunk off 30 or 40 yards. It can happen at any point in the game. So you just got to be a little careful with the lower numbers in that sense. But that's my only caveat going forward with that. But we'll see what it is in this next game or possibly beyond if they get past the Chiefs.
Now, you talked about, a lot of the Patriots' love, and again, sports books are very different than the talking heads of the media, but I saw no Patriots' love this week.
No, I'm just making a general observation from how the lines usually move in regards to the player props.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like you said, a lot of their numbers went down, but
The opposing players that are facing the New England.
No, I understand that, but I mean, with all that love on the Chargers this week, you would have thought Chargers props would have been a little inflated.
I would agree with you. I would agree. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me either. I've stopped trying to figure out exactly what goes on in these things because I think they're just moving it based on the money that gets bet. And
well, yeah, I mean, a lot of things.
Yeah,
if they have a hard line on a game, no matter what you do with your money or everybody does with their money, is going to change the way that they believe the game's.
I believe that you're right about that. So yeah, I agree with you. It's strange how that seems to work like that because there was definitely a lot more money bet on the Chargers in the point spread realm than the Patriots this week. But what can you say? Sometimes the prop stuff moves differently and goes in the reverse. So sometimes it correlates. So I'm not really sure, but. Certainly, the books did very well in this game, I believe, on both aspects. I think they took a little bit more under money as well. So, kudos to them.
Yeah, so far, I mean, last week in the wild card, 4 for 4 on dogs, and this week we're 3 for 3 on favorites so far. But
here's the late game.
Game 4.
Yep. Saints Eagles.
Yeah, this is one when we picked it. The line was sitting at 8. It's since moved to 8.5 as a Saints favorite. Total, we bet it at 51.5. It moved up to 52. Both Token and I took the Saints minus the 8 on that one. Brick City. Aaron got Philadelphia plus the 8 right. I was the only one that took the over in this game. As much as I didn't think Philadelphia would score, I thought Philly would score. I thought New Orleans would just outpace them, and
I was praying your proxy was going to take the over on this one too.
and this game was going to go over. But nope, that didn't work. Token and Aaron staying under the 51.5. That never really in doubt for you guys.
Yeah, and the magic of Nick Foles was on full display in the first quarter, and then they just held on for a wild ride. That was pretty much.
Then he took a ride on the golf cart.
I don't know what that means. But okay, cool.
All right, good. Thanks for the follow-up there, Token.
Point being is like, I actually, we talked about this, like you said, on the text conversation. And I feel like this would be one of those games where Spike would go Saints minus whatever. I feel like you would have done that pregame.
In a laugher.
Yeah, in a laugher.
I don't know that no. Yeah, maybe.
Honestly, in my mind, I was thinking like a 27-14 kind of game or something.
Me too.
I wasn't super happy with the line
when
being.
Kamara almost broke that last one. I was thinking that too.
It almost did happen.
My big bet of the week was here: Eagles plus 8.5.
What a ride that one was!
Oh
Wow.
God, I have
Looking great first quarter, and then
I've watched a lot of. I've had a lot of dogs, and I've had a lot of bets going on. And well, I guess my adult lifespan's about 13 years now, but. This was one bet where I've had the under, which was covering the entire game, that I'm like, I'm losing this one. I'm totally losing this one. Nah, no chance. And Proxy was sitting right next to me the whole time. I'm just like, I've never felt this bad about already, like, still covering the entire game. It was just... And then that Kamara, when he almost broke that last one, I was like, just my butt puckered a little bit.
You're like that guy from Barstool Studios. Or Barstool Sports or whatever.
Probably.
It might have been an outburst, yes, if he did break that tackle and scamper in.
If he broke that tackle, I'd have lost it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
You hit it. You hit the Eagles plus the 8.5.
Even the 50-yard field goal
because of the
made
missed
that.
field goal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the 52-yard by Lutz. Yeah.
And, I mean, look.
They still could have covered, though. In defense, there was still a lot of time on the clock, and they were going to
There
get
was,
back, so
and they'd probably kick the field goal first and then
But
try and get
let's
the
call
touchdown.
it. Let's call it what it is. The Eagles had the ball with a chance to win the game.
That is true.
I
mean,
never thought that would be possible. I did not think that was going to happen.
I don't think I don't think the three of you thought that was going to
I
happen.
didn't think that was going to happen.
And
I'll admit it.
the question now is, and I think what we talked about all week is, are the Saints vulnerable to a better offense that's coming in looking for revenge? Because the Eagles lost, they got crushed by the Saints earlier in the season. I don't know what week it was, and then the Rams came into the Superdome and also lost. So teams looking for revenge. This game obviously much closer, and so the question is now.
I believe if the Saints defense can stop the run how they did against Philly, I think they might be able to control the Rams.
Well, sure. I mean, that's an easier said than done, but I mean,
Yeah, it's going to be tough to do.
the thing is I think a lot of people are really questioning the Saints, but you break it all down. I mean, the Saints forgot how to play football in the first half. It was really actually in the first quarter mostly. I mean, false start penalties, delay of games coming out of a timeout. I mean, it was
fundamental stuff.
It was amazing how bad they looked as a team in the first quarter, including their coach.
And not just the first quarter, the third quarter. And that's when I sent the text when the Saints were on that drive that took about 17 plays and 170 yards
I was
because they
so
kept getting
impressed
called.
by that, though.
But the fact that they kept getting called back because of those penalties is when I sent the text to the three of you saying Rams are going to the Super Bowl. Because you cannot make mistakes like that in a conference championship game against a team as good as the Rams and expect to win.
We'll find out, and I don't think they will.
Maybe
but even
they're
if
just
they
getting
do,
out
I
of
think
their system.
their offense in that drive alone, which is what I was impressed by, is, 2nd and 15, no big deal. Michael Thomas for 16 yards. Oh, 1st and 20, no big deal. Ted Ginn for 22 yards. I mean, it's just, who do you guard? Who the fuck do you guard on this team? And the same goes for the Rams.
Yeah.
Who do you cover? And I said that to you. I'm like, every single player
Tomorrow,
on offense
even.
for these two teams is a weapon.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we're looking at some fun next week. But
I agree.
in this game, the Foles magic runs out, throws just one terrible pick, and the other one, obviously, the Alshon Jeffrey's going to have to stew on that one for
Many months.
7 months or
Poor
so.
Alshon. We miss him in Chicago.
Yeah.
Sort of.
But, I mean, I think not having
passes like that, not really.
Drop passes like that.
I think not having Josh Adams hurts. I know he wasn't a all-pro running back, but I think that mattered. I don't think the Saints really worried about the run too much. And I think a big turning point, which you and I talked about, we were watching the game together, was when Drew Brees went on a quarterback sneak and got stuffed at the line, and they moved the chains.
Yeah, there was a lot.
I mean, I couldn't believe
a lot
it.
of
They
things
showed
that
the
happened.
replay. He got stuffed at the line for no gain, potentially a half-yard
It
loss.
was a third down, yeah.
And it was a third down. They should have punted, and they moved the chains. I couldn't believe it, and I couldn't believe the coach Peterson didn't challenge it either. So that was a big momentum swing because they ended up going down and getting that field goal. Which again, but the fact of the matter is Foles had the ball in his hands with a chance, and if Jeffrey doesn't drop that, who knows how this game finishes up. So I mean,
Eagles could potentially win. Saints could run the ball back down the field with Lutz's field goal to win it. Who knows?
I mean, yeah, they may have still, but I mean, the fact that the Eagles could have taken the lead right there is still pretty amazing. And now the question is for Philly going in the offseason is you got a quarterback problem. A good one, but you have a quarterback problem.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And my solution to it is call up John Gruden, say, for a first and a second, you can have Carson Wentz tomorrow.
It's interesting.
Oh.
They can go the Minnesota route and just go with somebody else. the old let's not use either one of these options and go with and sign someone else. Yeah.
Well, Carson Wentz is still under contract, so you're not going to bring somebody in there. And I believe Foles is on a team option or a player option. I'll have to look at Foles' contract.
Lions, if you're listening, trade Stafford for both of them.
No. Nobody wants Stafford, though.
Not with that fucking contract.
That's the problem. You guys are locked into that. But I'm saying, I mean, realistically, and maybe I'm...
Chargers will give you Stafford.
Maybe I
take
don't...
him off our hands.
Do they have a controversy?
My own eye test, and the way I see it, at least, and it's not anything more than just an opinion, certainly. But I don't believe that Nick Foles is the guy that will get you, for a season-long full grind. He's going to have too many games that are going to be just generally subpar. He makes so many just errant, ridiculous, unbelievably bad throws. 1 or 2 a game, it seems like. And it's just, to me, that is not the recipe for winning a division and being a great team, which I think Philly has aspirations, of course, to be a great team. So while his run last year was phenomenal, I'm not taking anything away from that. I think if you want to go forward and you want to try to be an elite, great team, the way to do that is Carson Wentz. Does he need to get better? Does he need to be healthier? Yes, there's a lot of questions. I'm not saying it's an easy fix. But to me, I think if you really want to try to hit the ceiling, the full, high, arching ceiling, it's Carson Wentz, and I don't think it's that close. But again, Aaron, as you said, if you can get some really strong value,
that's what I'm saying. I think it is close, and I think Carson Wentz has the better value right now too.
Yeah, I just see way too many mistakes from Nick Foles. While Carson Wentz he's not been a great quarterback, he doesn't make egregious, awful mistakes during games that Nick Foles. Yes, Nick Foles has had some nice games where he's played well, but
it's a higher risk, high reward. Yeah,
and the question is if you go with Nick Foles, do the Eagles? It seemed like I said when Carson Wentz went down, the Eagles were 6-7, and when Nick Foles came in, they won 3 in a row, and it seemed like his presence motivated the other 52 guys or 51 guys, I guess, not Carson Wentz, but. The question is if you make Nick Foles a full-time starter, can he still keep that excitement for the rest of his teammates, when he's now the full guy, not the guy who comes in to try to save the day, Because I'm reading the contract right here. They got to move quick. Eagles must exercise he has a 2019 team option. They must exercise it 1 week after the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And... if they decide to exercise that option, it's $20 million, $20,600,000. And his salary is fully guaranteed if he's on the roster March 18th.
Oh, well done by his agent. That's a great contract.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, seriously, that's legit. Because that contract was written when he was not like the starting type of quarterback. He wasn't going to be, I don't think, the main guy at that point.
Yeah,
and impressive.
So the crazy thing is he goes $1 million base in 17, $4 million base in 18, $20 million base in 19.
Cool contract.
$5 million base in 2020 and $5 million in 2021.
Wow.
That agent is pretty smart.
Yeah.
His 20 and 21 years automatically void if he's on the roster before the league year in 2019.
Very interesting.
So if they exercise his option,
Very interesting.
he's essentially on a contract year at that point. What a hell of a contract,
Man.
So he can get the $20 million if he's on the roster 318, but it voids the last two. So he's on a $20 million show me deal when he's 30 years old. Crazy.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
But I mean, I think
That's not bad, yeah.
I think if they exercise his option, they're either playing him or they're trading him. Again, if they exercise his option, they're going with Wentz. You can't have $20 million quarterbacks not playing football.
Correct.
Right, of course.
100% agree. Yeah.
No, I think the problem is exactly what you brought up, that Wentz has more value, so he's the one that has to get moved.
Well, he doesn't have to get moved. I mean, it depends on what you want. If you want to go with Wentz and you give up the value, you call up Jacksonville and say, hey, 5th round pick, we'll give you Nick Foles. They're getting rid of Blake Bortles. They have no money tied up to quarterbacks. You could go with Nick Foles until you develop your new option.
I mean, that's fair, but if
you're giving up a lot of value if you trade Nick Foles versus trading Carson Wentz.
Right, and that's kind of what do you think Philadelphia is going to do? Do you think they care about getting a 5th round pick, or do you think they would rather get a much higher pick for Carson Wentz so that they can build more youth into that group?
I think John Gruden's dumb enough to give up 2 first-round picks for Carson Wentz. I really do. He's got 3 in this round. If you give him, what are they picking, 4th? If you give him the 4th and then you give him Dallas's first, which is like 27th for Carson Wentz, it's better than any quarterback you're going to draft in this draft.
Well, that's fair, but I mean
he's got to stay healthy.
That's assuming
that's the key factor.
Then you send Derek Carr to New York,
right? Well,
or Jacksonville.
That's assuming that Gruden is done with Carr, which we don't necessarily
feels like
know.
it. But I mean, again, he's been very hush hush about everyone except for Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper.
Right. I mean, but if he was going to move on from Carr, I think this would have been the year that he starts experimenting with other quarterbacks, especially towards the end of the year where they were already out of it.
I don't know who they had to experiment with. I mean, I don't have their roster in front of me.
A.J. McCarron, right?
Oh, they did have A.J. McCarron, yeah. He must be really bad.
Hey, he's got to be.
Man, I had high hopes for that guy. He must be really bad.
Is he the new J.P. Lossman, or am I just thinking that because they both go by 2 initials?
Well, J.P. Lossman at least started. And was a first-round pick.
In the UFL.
Might be a decent comparison.
He started a year at Buffalo.
Oh, that's true. But he was also the Las Vegas Locos starter for their inaugural year
didn't
in the
go
UFL.
well in Buffalo. Yeah.
Or necessarily great with the Locos.
No, they won the championship that year.
I know, but he didn't get on to, I think he was trying to, become the NFL type of thing. Yes, no. A Loco player, yes.
All right.
I remember watching a few
2019 opening day Eagles. Who's the quarterback?
I say Foles.
I bet strongly it's Wentz. Strongly.
I got no clue.
I think they were also forgetting the fact
I hope it's Stafford.
They talked about how much they love this guy personally and how really close he is with a lot of this coaching staff. I think Carson Wentz means a lot to this organization. I think there might be a little.
It means
bit
a lot more when
football.
he's playing on the turf, though.
Yeah,
I understand all
An
that.
ACL and a back for a quarterback, that does not bode well.
I
What's
agree
next,
with you
dollar
100%. I'm just saying that I think that sometimes these intangibles matter way more than they should to these organizations, and there might be something to this.
Question 2. Was Carson Wentz hurt at the start of tonight's game? I don't think he was.
I think he was. He was ruled out.
Well, okay.
So, but no,
Joe Flacco was ruled out when I don't think he was hurt either.
No, but I think in a playoff game of this magnitude, especially in a visiting stadium, if you feel that you need that backup quarterback to potentially give you a chance to win down the
They got a Hall of Famer, Sudfeld. All right. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think Carson Wentz was as hurt. I think he could have played, but I mean, we'll never know. So
I think you go with the hot hand in that spot.
Well, the good thing is when you rule them out, there's no what ifs. What if, like when Joe Flacco wasn't ruled out, we were what if they put him in the third quarter? They may have come back and beat the Chargers.
True.
You take all that what ifs out of the way. So.
Yep, right about that. Remind our listener what the Super Bowl picks are.
How about we remind them how we did this week?
Yeah, for this week.
Sure.
So entering the week, Token Tony was leading the pack after going 7-1 last week. Not so great this week. You lost this week, putting up 6 points for a total of 13. Mm-hmm. I lost last week, came in second this week with 10 points, giving myself a total of 13. So Token and I are tied Aaron, the big winner this week with 12 points, sitting at
6 and 2 is pretty good.
16 total.
Yeah. 3 points each way next week. So.
Next week's games will be worth 3 points.
But the bad news for
apiece.
me and Spike, there's only 2 games next week, so 4 total bets.
Yeah, so 12 points
12
up for
points
grabs.
on the line.
But he picks first.
But I
though.
pick first.
Aaron picks first.
Yeah,
Well,
you
I
pick
submit
first
mine.
on all the other ones.
Yeah, I submit mine.
Oh, that's true.
But we don't know about it. You just have to submit them just to proxy so that he knows
Okay,
them.
yeah, I could do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I may not be here next week, so
Oh, there you
you
go.
may be proxy for 2 of us.
Good God. Well, I'll have to get a third. I'll have to get a second proxy.
I'll ask Kelly if she gets double payment for that sort of thing.
That's fair enough. Well,
Or we
considering
bring
you make 0, we'll just triple it.
Yeah, there we go.
That seems fine. I accept.
All right. So it's good to be back in the lead. I like taking money off you guys, but there's a long way to go.
Yeah, it's not over yet. Not by a long shot.
So, all right. How are our Super Bowl picks holding up? Because does anybody have to change?
No, we are all still alive. Token has the Saints in New England. Aaron, you have the Rams in New England. I have the Saints and Kansas City.
So we're all changing bets. Well, maybe not. One of us is changing bets.
No matter what, at least somebody's changing a bet next
You
week.
and I are changing. One of
Yes.
us is changing bets next week.
Yes, yeah. And I am holding on to the Saints, even though I texted the 3 of you saying the Rams are going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
I am not changing this bet.
Don't change it till you have to. I guess.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah, I'm keeping mine the same right now. I'm going with both 2 seats.
All right. So we lost some exactas too, as well. So-
Yes, a lot of exactas
Oh, yeah.
fell off. I got those here because my computer didn't shut down. I am officially out of it. The last one I had alive was Saints over the Chargers, so that one died.
That would have been a good
Am
one,
I the
though.
only one with one left? I think.
No,
He has the
no,
same-
Brady's against the...
they still have one. So, Aaron, you lost one because you had Indy over Philly. Mm-hmm. So
I
that didn't
expected
work.
to lose that one,
But you still have New England over the Rams.
which is my pick for the Super Bowl. Too.
Yes. Token, you lost 2 this week. You had
Yeah.
Clippers over the Rams, and you had Dallas over the Chargers, or the Clippers, or the Chargers, whichever
Yeah,
one's
I'm
right.
glad that Dallas one didn't come through.
But you still have Kansas City over the Rams.
Still a chance.
Yes. So the 2 of you are still alive. I'm dead.
What do you think the total will open up Kansas City over the Rams in the Super Bowl? On turf.
82.
On turf.
Oh my God.
82.
In a dome on turf, Kansas City. I mean, what did they score? 105?
105 last time around.
No, I remember after that big game between them two, and
I think we should set a hypothetical line for $1.
the guy from William Hill said that they had an idea, or it was either William Hill or Westgate said, ideally if they meet in the Super Bowl, the opening line would be like 72-73, something around there.
I'd call. I don't think that's true. I don't think they'll open up at 72-73.
I mean, this one, the one they played before that went to 105 points was 62,
62 or something around
64.
there.
I had the under in that game too, by the way.
I remember.
Those supposed to be in Mexico City?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do a $1 prop bet. What do you think?
Another $1 for the kitty over here?
Sure.
Yeah, only if the Rams and Saints make it to the Super Bowl.
All right.
I'm going to go with the total in the New England and New England Chargers game, 69.
What?
That was the exact score.
Oh, the exact
Oh,
score.
okay.
Like,
Hang on. I got to write this in here. So it's Rams.
Saints possible matchup. So you're taking 69. I'll say it's 60. I'll say it's right around what it was.
So
And I think everybody would hammer the over.
69. Aaron 60. I am going to go 75.
So we're going closest without going over?
Just closest in general.
I was going to say it's got to be closest in general because if it's closest without going
Otherwise, you
over,
gotta
how
redo
do I
that.
not take 1?
Because it's 61 and I win.
Unless it's 59 and then you're both shut out.
you win.
It'll be over 60. For sure.
Be 67 and a half.
67 and a half. All right, cool. Yeah, well, we'll see.
No, I said 69.
Whose line are we using?
I mean, I would assume covers since we've been using covers
William Hill, yeah. One of those two.
the entire time that we've been doing this.
All right, cool. What else we got?
That's pretty much it for our prop bets and other side bets and everything else that we've had rolling for this season. So,
All right.
I don't
Sounds
know.
like it might be it.
You want to do the preview for next week what the lines open up at and all that.
All right, yeah. Let's see
The,
what we
the
got.
way too early preview?
Yep.
I like it. So let's see here. Just deleting out a couple of things
Both
here.
games are on Sunday next week, which I like.
Oh, they are. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, so I can even do.
Uh,
That's how that works.
Yeah, no, I thought
we can even do Saturday night then.
I thought the
Oh yeah, we might not need a proxy unless Spike needs a proxy.
yeah, well, that
Yeah.
I will have to see. I don't know how I'm going to be feeling. I thought the NFC game was on Saturday.
He might need a proxy for you then.
Yeah.
Well, he's getting surgery, so
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I didn't
yeah,
know.
oh yeah. So let's see, Rams and New Orleans.
3 o'clock Eastern. Yep.
3:00 Eastern. The game opened and actually hasn't moved that I can see. Opened as Saints as a 3.5 point home favorite. Total sitting at 57.
I see it opening at Saints at 3 and went to Saints minus 3.5 now. But total is still the same at 57.
Okay,
Pretty much the same thing.
I'm on Insider here, but
Oh, yeah,
let me bring up
covers.
covers.
Yeah. Covers.
yeah, 3.5. I mean,
3.5. I mean that's
About
fine.
the same,
Yeah.
that's a little nod toward the Saints. My early lean is, I think a lot of prisoner of the moment money goes in on the Rams, and I think the Saints win this game by 7 points.
Wow.
That could change. A couple of my picks changed from our preview all the way to our picks. So.
That's true.
Yep.
Last week when we did the way too early preview, we talked about the line in the Kansas City game.
Yeah.
I said it looked too high.
you said under immediately.
You said it looked too low. You went over. I went under. So we both faded ourselves, and yeah, that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, for Rams and Saints this week, I have already bet the Rams money line. I got it at plus 150. I've already put my money where my mouth is. We'll see if that changes. But I saw
you have Saints Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
I do.
Saints Pats.
I have Saints and Chiefs in the
Saints,
Super Bowl.
Chiefs.
But I saw too many mistakes out of New Orleans this week against an inferior Philadelphia team. I don't think they can play that same way. I don't think they can be as undisciplined as they were against the Rams. And if they do, they're going to get smoked at home. So Rams money line for me right now.
Question: who was the other team that New Orleans lost to in the Superdome other than the Bucks? Because they're 7-2 at home, and I can't remember who else they lost to. I know they almost lost to the Browns, but that's
No.
oh, they lost to the Carolina the last game of the year. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Early thoughts here is I think a lot of, like I said, prisoner of the moment, and my hashtag or my resolution for 2019 has just been hashtag fade Spike. So give me early lean New Orleans 3.5.
Yeah, early lean Saints minus the points. This one should be. Actually, both games should be good ones to watch for sure. So.
Oh, definitely. What do you guys think of the total? Because I'm legitimately flummoxed about this 57. I don't know where to go on this one.
I think it's 30-27 right on.
Right on.
Somebody knew that was coming.
Right on the total, right on the fucking line. Unbelievable.
I mean, what was their? I think they went over 57 last time.
Yeah, I would lean towards over, but
They went way over. It was 80 points last time, 45-35.
Yeah. While I expect, the shootout, part of me just believes that these defenses actually both played really well this week, and I hope that carries over. I mean,
that seems.
I may be in the minority, but I'm not always the biggest fan of shootouts in football. I actually like a little defense, so I'll probably be early line. I'm early line for the under.
Okay. Interesting.
He likes a little chess battle.
Yeah, I'm fine. I mean, that's
Two brilliant offensive minds going against two pretty good defenses.
That's SEC football right there. Defense is actually playing the fucking game.
Yeah. And in my mind, I think defense is truly win you the championships.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. I don't know. I'm given what I saw, given the 80 points put up last week, given how the offenses do manage to click, even when New Orleans has to go 225 yards to score, a single drive. I think the over is looking better and better. I'm curious to see how this goes, if this goes up or down during the week, but
Yeah, I think that 57 to open nailed it exactly.
Yeah, I don't see much movement off that. Maybe slightly up.
The question is, what is
50.
Vegas begging you to do? I think that's always the opening question.
I think they want you to take the over.
I think so, too. What about New England and Kansas City? We got 57 already, or 57 and a half.
57 to 57 and a half. The only change I see in this, according to Vegas Insider, is that when Kansas City opened as a 3-point favorite, that was actually at even money. It has now moved to laying a dime.
So that actually people have been laying money on KC -3.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, last time they got together, I actually look in this spot as long as there's no snow. I look in this spot for another shootout. I think New England has to shoot out to keep up.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I my early lean's on New England. So I think we're in a barn burner in this one. So
Yeah, I would lean towards New England if they can be able to stop the run game of KC. But I do expect a high-scoring game in this one.
Yeah, I once again have already bet this game, and I have taken the underdog money line. I think New England, for as bad as
you almost got to hit one of those to have a profitable weekend.
Yeah, for as good as Kansas City's offense is, I think New England's defense is good enough to slow them down enough so that when the Patriots go up against that horrendous Kansas City defense, New England can just beat them, like 56 to 52, let's say. One of those type of games where you just see point on point on point on point on point. And I definitely like New England in this one.
Yeah, the total in this game, I think the one of the things that we've talked very briefly here is the weather will be an enormous factor. In a total that's this high, you're going to have relatively decent conditions or a lot of weird bounces and some luck and special teams touchdowns and things like that to be able to hit an over of this magnitude with this many points. So that's I think that's important. But again, if you have relatively clear conditions, then certainly all bets are off and points can fly. But
so far we're looking at 15 degrees, 6% chance of precipitation.
Yeah, and Brady does much better in the cold than he does in the heat. So that
I'm not worried if it's cold. Yeah, cold's fine. It's just
no, I'm not worried about it. I'm saying there's snow coming down.
There are some quarterbacks that don't do well in the snow. Like if you look or in the cold even. If you look, Phillip Rivers in the cold was something like 1-9 in his career in outdoor games where it's below, I think, 25 degrees or something. So, it's one of those where you really have to pay attention to how a quarterback does, and Brady seems to thrive on it.
Yeah, Jared Goff's numbers early on, they're in a dome, but his numbers early on in sub 45 temperatures are not great either. So it's just there are some quarterbacks, as you said, Spike, that just seems like they can't really get over that mental hump that there is with playing in subpar temperature and or weather percent.
Sometimes it's not just a mental hump; it's just those kind of conditions are just make for terrible football.
That's true. That's very true.
So it's tough. I mean, visibility. If it snows, visibility is definitely one of the keys. I mean, they were able to clear the field with Kansas City against the Colts, but if it dumps here, it creates problems for both teams. I mean, I don't know if that takes away a home field advantage at all, but for these two teams, with no snow predicted in the forecast, that might make for. That's what kind of scares me about the line is it was October when they played last. I mean,
yes.
Even in the cold, this game's not going to be as back and forth as we may expect it to be. I don't know. Early lean's under on both of the games, dog in this game. But like I said, it's early. This may be a situation where if I can accurately pinpoint the NFC Championship and get so far ahead of you guys, I might just be happy with the happiness hedge here.
Let me go my DeLorean and find out who wins.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate that.
Why? I got an almanac right here. So, all right. Well, that's the conference title games. We're going to have a Thursday podcast to discuss, and we're going to have our picks. Our picks are going to be Sunday morning, I guess, because both games are on Sunday. That's the first one in a couple weeks. So,
yeah.
All right, Token. You're the boss today.
Yeah. Yep. Lead us out of here.
Actually, speaking of, there was something I just came up with. the Browns are actually adding Tampa Bay offensive coordinator Todd Monken and defensive coordinator Steve Wilkes, formerly of the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to be the two coordinators.
I think they win the division this year.
Are you just going to pick all the teams, and then when you're right on 2 of them, you're gonna like, yay, 2 of 8, but look what I did.
Yeah, but if you get like plus 700 on some of those, that's good.
That's what I can cash in my Bears ticket.
Giants.
I cashed my Bears ticket. They were 800.
Yeah.
Oh, the Bears or the Giants? I'll say they're over 700. I'll say they're 10-1 or greater.
I was thinking about 8 or 10-1, something around there. Thanks everybody for tuning in to another edition of Vegas Squares NFL Recap. Thank you to the sponsors again, Chai Poker, VJK Pop Sockets, Vegas Puck Line, 12-ounce sports.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Looked at the Vegas Puck Line during this. They got some interesting shirts and
It's pretty
hoodies.
one-of-a-kind stuff. At least it's not like the normal,
retreads.
I like the eking out a win one. Yeah, that one's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Eakin's getting traded this year.
Yeah.
Eking out a trade.
Yeah.
Ooh, Eakin's getting traded, huh? So who's going to be your redheaded friend?
That's my bold prediction. I don't know.
The rabbi. VJK rabbi.
Losing my Ginger Ninja on this one.
Ginger Ninja.
Yeah, I think when Halle comes back, if he comes back before the trade deadline, Eakin gets traded.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they'll have 5 centers.
Yeah,
and Eakin's the only one that they are going to be willing to trade that has any value, because they can't get value for Nosek, Lindbergh, Carpenter, anybody else that is, not producing.
Well, value as in a pick or a value as in a player?
A player. They need a defenseman.
It's true.
Because when Colin Miller comes back, they got to get rid of Merrill and Holden.
Many people believe this Zykov guy could fetch a defenseman.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Or maybe Brandon Peary can fetch a defenseman.
Ooh. There you go.
Because they got to make a decision on him, too. So
yeah, that'd be nice.
All right, that's it for us. We appreciate you listening. We are out. We'll catch you on the next one.